to guess that most people here are two things. They're number one, they have a Pinterest account, but they've been pinning things for the baby shower, the wedding, the birthday party, whatever. But they've never actually used it for business. So what are the steps to get started?
Okay, so this was me. So if this is you, welcome. You're in good company. Let me tell you a quick story about how I figured this out, because it wasn't even me. So years ago, I was white knuckling my business. I was a wedding photographer in Wisconsin, and I finally released the white knuckle grip on my business and said, I need help, right? Those 3 words that are so hard for all of us to utter. And I hired my first virtual assistant, and I will never forget the first time we sat down. We sat across from each other in this small little Wisconsin cafe, and she goes, how's Pinterest working for you? And I looked her dead in the eye, and I was like, okay, so let me tell you about my clothing board. Oh, it is so on point. It's so Parisian chic. And let me tell you about this house that I'm going to build someday. It apparently has 20 bathrooms. And we were kind of laughing. And she's like, no. Like, how is it working for you, like for your business? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I had no idea that the pins that are on the platform are brought on by Pinterest users. I feel like people go on and browse it, and I just made a $27 ebook in 2 minutes using AI. Watch how I did it, so you can do it too. Here I am in Designer, and the first thing you'll notice is this clean, user-friendly interface. Now watch closely. I'm clicking Create New Project and selecting on by Pinterest users. I feel like people go on and browse it, and they just think like somehow these graphics are there, but people don't connect the dots that like you can import a pin onto Pinterest today. You can bring anything onto the platform. So the biggest misconception that people look at is one, that it's just for like vision boards, right? It's a visual search engine. And so we love using it to plan out vacations and our homes and our outfits and all the different things. But what we're missing is that we can actually become contributors to Pinterest. The way that pins get on there is from people bringing them onto the platform. And so if you are someone who is casually pinning, which I love Pinterest. I've never felt bad about myself after being on Pinterest, right? I can go on to doom scroll on Instagram. I feel like garbage. Like, oh, I'm not pretty enough and I'm not doing enough. Pinterest, I'm like, wow, dude, the sky's the limit. But
feel inspired.
Yes, you do feel inspired. But if you are someone who is just passively pinning, what I want you to start paying attention to is looking at these pins through the lens of somebody put this on here, right? The creator did, or somebody that was inspired by the content. Pinterest is not social media. And this is where the biggest disconnect is. People often group Pinterest in the group of the TikToks and the Instagrams. It's not a this or that. It is a totally separate camp. Pinterest is a search engine. It is like a modern day pretty Google. When you go onto Pinterest, you're typing in, how to start a business, or how to launch a podcast, or how to find a red dress with ruffly sleeves, right? We're using it in the way of a search engine, but oftentimes our brain is disconnecting it and telling us it's social media. And so if you're getting started, first pay attention just to your user experience and acknowledging that somebody brought these things on, and then notice what you're typing into the search bar and how you're leveraging it as a search engine. One thing that I love that you do so well, Brock, is you often break down what Instagram strategy is. So like when they launch a new feature, you're telling them like, okay, this is why they're doing it and this is their hope of it. When we look at Pinterest, what their goal is to actually connect you with the end result you're seeking. They want to be the connector. They want you to click the link and actually go to the destination. They want you to get the answers and the solutions. A search engine's goal is very different than social media. Social media wants to keep you on the app, keep you scrolling, whereas a search engine wants to be the bridge that connects you to the solution or the answer that you're looking for. And so it totally changes the strategy. And so a lot of people too, they'll take what's working on social media and they'll bring it on to the search engine and they'll be like, well, this doesn't work, but they're not actually looking through it or looking at it through the right lens.
Sure. Okay, so let's talk about then how do you look through that right lens? Because you said a few times bringing these pins to Pinterest, whether it's you as the creator or someone else bring these pins to Pinterest. So like, what does that look like? What does that mean? How do we actually put that into practice?
Okay. So what is incredible about Pinterest is that any user can upload a pin, when they upload a pin, which is simply in most cases just a graphic, they upload the pin, you get to designate where you are sending someone to. So you literally get to drop in any URL that you want. So this could be a landing page to grow your email list. It could be your YouTube channel. It could be your podcast. It could be your Instagram. It could be your blog, your website, your sales page. You can literally designate any space that you have on the internet, which is pretty rare that you can point somebody in any direction. So the other thing about Pinterest is that it prioritizes what they consider fresh content. Now, fresh content doesn't mean that Brock needs to publish a new video every single day. Fresh content just means that it needs to be a variation of something you've posted before. So for this episode of your podcast, Brock, we could create 10, 15, 20, 30 different pins that all point back to this singular piece of content, as long as the graphics, the headlines, or the visuals are unique. Now, what this means in layman's terms is if you have a good set of templates in Canva and you have a slight bit of creativity in terms of how you name things or how you promote something, you can create an unlimited amount of pins that can point to one piece of content. This is why it's not about adding more to your already full plate or creating more content. It's about putting a spin on your content. And let me ask you this real quick, Brock. What would be easier for you to do? Go into Canva, leverage a template, and create 10 different graphics, or create a brand new podcast episode, the show notes, the social clips, and all the things that accompany it before you move on to the next? Which one's easier?
Obviously, 100% option A.
Yes. And so what's amazing is that I bet your listeners right now are sitting on tens or hundreds or even thousands of pieces of content that could have pins pointing to it. It could be stuff that you made a year ago, 2 years ago, that you could turn into pins to land on the Pinterest platform and reach their viewers. So I feel like it should give you an exhale of like, this is really not about doing more. It's about making your work harder with just a tiny bit of strategy and effort.
Okay, so like I'm conceptualizing this, thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a search engine. So it's not Instagram where I'm scrolling through Reels. It's more like Google. But when I search something on Google, nowadays I get like a big AI response that's never helpful. And then I get like
You want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people with fancy tech skills, but you don't. You just need GoDaddy Arrow. I'm Walton Goggins, and as an actor, I'm an expert at looking like I know what I'm doing. GoDaddy Arrow uses AI to create everything you need to grow a business. It'll make you a unique logo. It'll create a custom website. It'll write social posts for you and even set you up with a social media calendar. GoDaddy Arrow will take your idea that sounds good and make a business that looks like you know what you're doing. Get started at GoDaddy.com/Arrow. That's GoDaddy.com/AIRO.
response that's never helpful. And then I get like a bunch of links and URLs, and the first 7 of them are sponsored, and then there's a bunch of not pretty, right? It's just text, it's links and headlines. So essentially, is this just for oversimplification purposes? These pins on Pinterest are the same thing as these links on Google, right? These headlines. The only difference is on Pinterest, they're visually appealing. Maybe they have a graphic or a video, and then they're still going to ultimately direct me to wherever that final destination is.
Exactly right. And what's awesome is that every single word on Pinterest, because it's a search engine, is searchable. So if you take some of the SEO or search engine optimization strategies that you are likely using in other places in your business, that's all you need. It's just a tiny bit of keyword strategy. So it could be keywords in the graphic itself. It could be keywords in the pin title. It could be keywords in the description. All you are doing is helping Pinterest connect people that are looking for your work with your work.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll tell you what I've been doing, and let me know if this is a mistake, something wrong, something that could be improved. I use a scheduling tool to schedule all of my posts for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and I'm logged into my Pinterest. So when I'm clicking on the little icons up at the top, I click on Pinterest. So if it's a reel that's being posted on Instagram, the same video is being posted on Pinterest, but I'm not adding a link to send it anywhere. So is that incorrect? Like, would it be better if I was instead having that link back to my Instagram, or like what's going wrong with my strategy there? Because I've seen like literally zero change or results from doing what I'm currently doing.
Right. So, okay, so you can keep doing that, but I'm going to add just a teeny bit of strategy for you. So we are big fans of set it and forget it, which is like my life. Like that is what I want. I want a crock pot meal and I want strategies that I can set and forget. So if the easiest way to get your content onto Pinterest is to keep that feature selected so that you know it's getting onto the platform, it's fantastic. You can keep that on. What I would recommend then is setting a timer or a reminder for 20 minutes at the end of your week to go on to your newly uploaded pins and to add a little bit of strategy. So that's where you could add in the backlink and you could add in a more SEO optimized title and description for your pin. Because oftentimes when you're using different things like Planoly or Tailwind or whatever you're using to auto schedule, it's not optimized for Pinterest in terms of searchability. And so if it's easier to just have it auto post and then you go in and tweak, there's no harm in doing that. And you're not like tanking your ability to get results. There's nothing there because again, this is the long game, but you'll add in that strategy. And so what you can do is you can decide, okay, where do I want to send this to? What is the best way to send it somewhere where it's traffic, but I can turn that into something? I'm the biggest fan of sending it to places you own on the internet, whether it's a website or a blog, versus sending it to other platforms where you don't necessarily get to capture any sort of data or any of their information. But what I would just say is then just go in on a Friday, look at the pins that automatically uploaded, jump in. You can even use ChatGPT and say, write me a title for this Instagram caption that's SEO optimized and great for Pinterest. Drop those things in and designate where you want it to go. And that's how that content will work for you longer than when you just hit publish. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that's very doable. I want to come back to a question around like graphics versus videos versus reels.
Yeah.
Before I do that, this is probably going to be a quicker question. Are there any sort of account settings or profile things that we need to be aware of on Instagram? In Instagram fashion, they always overcomplicate it with like, it could be business, professional, creator, personal, private, whatever. Is there anything like that that we should be aware of or make sure that we set up correctly on Pinterest?
Yes. So that's a fabulous question, Brock. So you want to make sure you're a business account. So without being a business account, you don't have access to analytics. And you also can't make your profile super optimized. So with a business account, you could have like Brock Johnson, Instagram strategy expert as your title. And you teach this too with kind of like optimizing your bio. It's actually very similar to the strategies you teach in Instagram and Pinterest. It's just, again, every word that you're putting in there is searchable. And so you want to make sure the words and phrases that you're using, both in your title and in your bio, are very clear. So very similar to what you teach there. You also just want to have a business account because that will give you access to the analytics. It'll also unlock a few features like linking to your website and different things like that as well. It's a super easy process. Once you do it once, you don't ever have to do it again. And so it just takes a few minutes. But that will switch your account from personal to business, which will then allow you to kind of think a little bit more strategically and have more strategy in place.
Gotcha. Okay, totally makes sense. Back to my question about graphics versus videos.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier having like Canva templates. You mentioned, you said the word graphics a few times. Do graphics or, quote unquote, still images perform better? Is that more of the norm and the expectation on Pinterest than these 7-second reels that are being posted on Instagram?
Yes. Okay. So this will maybe give your audience another sigh of relief, but I just saw a stat that it said like the average reel is taking entrepreneurs 3 to 4 hours based on what they're creating, which haven't made
the kind of person who knows things like you can get a domain from Squarespace, not just a website. Well, now you are that person, because now you definitely know you can get a domain from Squarespace. Something like whisperingbloom.com for your silent retreat, or whisperingboom.com for your shouting retreat. Whatever your dream, a Squarespace domain and website brings it to life, all in one place. Get yours before it's gone with offer code MAKEITREAL for 10% off your domain or website. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, so this will maybe give your audience another sigh of relief, but I just saw a stat that it said like the average reel is taking entrepreneurs 3 to 4 hours based on what they're creating, which I haven't made sure, but for me, that's kind of true. It takes me a long time. But what we've done is like in my business is for every podcast episode that goes out, I created 10 templates to turn one podcast episode into 10 graphics. One graphic is just the title of my show. Then the next graphic is the title of my show with my photo. Then the next graphic is a pull quote from the episode. The next graphic could be an infographic. Again, it's just slightly varying either the way that you're talking about the episode or the way the graphic is. One thing that's really great about Pinterest is that it's not necessarily the popularity contest that social media can feel like, because users on there aren't specifically generally typing your name. Unless you're super well known, people aren't going onto Pinterest and typing in your name. So there's a stat that 96% of searches on Pinterest are unbranded searches, meaning that people are really interested in being exposed to new creators, new offers, new products, which is a huge relief for small businesses and people that are just starting out. Like the other day, I was looking for a red dress and I had like a specific vision in my mind and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. And it was popping up all these different boutiques I would have never found, I would have never heard of. I don't care where I'm getting this red dress from. I just want to find what I'm looking for. And so what's awesome about Pinterest is for people that prefer to be a little bit more faceless in their marketing, or that they want to not necessarily be like the performer in their business, Pinterest is amazing. And so for you, Brock, you have such SEO optimized titles, which I know is strategic on your part when it comes to YouTube. And so there are so many different ways that you could take one YouTube episode and take different clips, use stock photos, plain backgrounds, talk to different segments of your audience. Like you could do one like Instagram strategies for small business owners, Instagram strategies for course creators, Instagram strategies for product-based businesses. So all of these different ways are easy ways to create new graphics that promote and point to the same thing. So what I rely on is just templates. And here's the secret sauce of this. At this point, I don't even do my own Pinterest strategy. I outsource the 1 hour a week to an amazing VA on my team, because once the templates are created, all she does is take that piece of published content and dissect it and break it down, and she's ready to rock. Keeping in mind, if you think about it, one episode of your show turning into 10 pins, the average lifespan of one pin is 13 months. Now think about 10 pins being published, spaced out over a period of time. Your episode that you're recording right now can be working for you in the next year. And I feel like that's just such a different mentality than social media, where it's just like we're constantly creating, kind of feeding the beast. And so it totally transforms the way that you create content and also the way that you look at the promotion of the content you create.
I love that. We are 100% going to implement everything you are saying. And so I'm speaking right now to the person in the future who I bet is finding this episode on Pinterest, and then now they're watching this episode. It's kind of like this.
It's meta. I like it.
Pinterest inception. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so you mentioned spacing them out over a period of time. You know, I understand that if I space them out, then it's just going to extend the lifespan, so to speak. But in terms of frequency, on Instagram we say the more you post, the more you grow. On TikTok, the same is true. But is there best practice? And I know, Pinterest isn't, like you said earlier, it's not a social media as much. It's more of a search engine. So is it truly the more the merrier with posting on Pinterest? Is it, hey, give them at least an hour so they can breathe? What's the best practice in terms of frequency?
You're going to love this. Okay, so the way that I teach it is it literally takes 1 hour a week. You can log in and you can log out. So unlike the social platforms, and again, this isn't a comparison, it's just pointing the distinction. Unlike the social platforms where you shouldn't just like post and ghost, you need to stay on and engage and be in your DMs. This is truly you upload it and you can ghost, because it's not necessarily about likes and comments and that kind of thing. So it's a very different mindset. So what we recommend is, even if you just uploaded 1 to 2 fresh pins, fresh just meaning different variations, it can be old content, resurface, but fresh graphics to Pinterest a day, you can get really great success. So that's just 1 to 2. So that would be about creating 14 different graphics in Canva in 1 week, pointing to different types of work that you've done. Now, the recommendation and what we do personally on my team, because we have such a gold mine of content, we have thousands upon thousands of posts and episodes and all the different things, is that we typically post around 5 to 15 pins a day. Now, when I say we're posting it, we're just scheduling these out to be dropping. And it's pretty easy to do that when you have templates to rely on and you can look at a piece of content and slice and dice it. In fact, you can go into ChatGPT and you can upload a transcript of this episode and say, give me 10 different angles for this. And it would literally spit out amazing headlines that you could use on these graphics. So the one thing to keep in mind is that if you have a piece of content and let's say you create 10 pins for it, my recommendation would be is if you have enough content to do this, which you do, would be to space out those pins at least by 1 week, just so you're not spamming Pinterest with all of these pins that are super similar pointing to that one piece of content. If you can't do that, you're not going to be penalized. You likely just might not get as great of results. And so if somebody's listening, my recommendation would be pick 3 pieces of content that you've already created that maybe performed well in the past and create, let's say, 3 different pins for that. That'd be 9 pins. That would be enough to get the 1 to 2 pins per day for the next week. And you could schedule it, set it, and forget it, and then log in again on Monday. So that's kind of how we approach it. There's really not a ton of rules. Like, what's interesting to me is it doesn't ever feel like you're like gaming the system. I've been teaching Pinterest for 7 years now, like teaching the strategy. And what's incredible is like I just re-recorded my entire program and not a lot had changed. Like it wasn't like this massive shift from like, oh my gosh, last year to this year, there's this algorithm drop and everything is not working. And so that gives me a lot of peace in the process. They also recently announced a verified Pinterest educators program, which I'm a part of. And I also just think that that is awesome in the sense of it's not like you're gaming a system. I think sometimes we can get strategies and it kind of feels like, well, this could work for now, but it might not work in a month. They're backing what we teach. And so I just want your listeners to listen with a lens of like, this isn't about gaming it. This is exactly how they want you to be using it.
Sure, that makes sense. And that's so cool. Congratulations on that. I love, and it totally makes sense that you are one of those verified educators because you're someone who teaches strategies that are proven to work and will work over the long haul. And it's not like a flat in the pan hack that's going to work for the next 12 hours. And then, hey, if you don't see this episode the day it was posted, it's gone forever. But speaking of those strategies, I would love to, first of all, just understand, and this might be a very silly beginner question, but Instagram have stories, carousels, like the slideshows, we have photos, and we have reels, and we have live. What are the different kinds of content that we can post, or the different kinds of posts we can pin on Pinterest?
Yeah. So the main one that is like 98% of what we do is just a singular graphic. It is just one single standalone graphic. Now they have recently released like carousels where you can have multiple pins. It's limited to 5. So it's kind of like a series of 5 where people can scroll through. And then they also do video pins, but they're often no audio. It's just like a video clip. So a lot of times my team will take my reels that I post that are more like B-roll, which we all know aren't working as great these days, but they can take that and also post it onto Pinterest. There is also one thing that I think is interesting is that there's Pinterest ads. And for most of my career on Pinterest, we've gone straight organic, like no paid strategy, got results with no paid strategy. But one thing that's been interesting is as we've been using Pinterest ads more, we've been seeing that our cost per lead for our last launch was nearly half of the cost per lead that we were getting on Meta, which is really interesting because we're not anti-meta. Like I use Instagram and Facebook all the time, and that's how we get a ton of leads. But it was wild because we were able to track the performance of Pinterest users all the way through the funnel. And those leads performed the same as our meta leads, but the cost was one half. Why this is important is I think a lot of people do feel slightly stuck with like all the eggs in one basket, right? And if something changes or something's not working, it's not like you can just throw spaghetti at the wall without a cost. And so Pinterest ads are also a really awesome place. And what we also realized through Pinterest ads is that we were being exposed to people that wouldn't have naturally been in our world or in our ecosystem. So with Pinterest ads, you can also leverage the single graphics or the videos. And a lot of times we'll just take what's already working, resize it for Pinterest, which now Instagram is actually the formatting matches a lot easier with the more portrait style fitting. And so it's really not a lot of extra work on our part. They've done different things in the past where like you can literally click and get taken directly to the shop. So it's a really direct path for product-based businesses where it literally takes somebody to check out. And if they have like Shop Pay or Shopify, it's like, oh my God, I could literally buy something in about 5 seconds. And so they're always kind of trying different things, but the main one that we do is just a single graphic. And it's so easy to create a single graphic for basically anything you've already made.
Really makes sense. Let's talk more about some of the best practices for those single graphics. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Have you found that portrait works better than landscape? Is there a certain amount of words or a certain should we have a human's face on it plus a headline plus a subheader? Like, what is the best practice? And I'm sure it varies person to person, doesn't standard this, but are there any general things to keep in mind with those graphics?
Yes. So we only do vertical oriented pins because just like on Instagram, it takes some more landscape visuals. So again, similarities there. Now, one of my favorite things about Pinterest is you can split test any idea headline, any graphic, any color, any font. You can split test anything with no risk or without feeling like you're standing on stage naked in front of your audience. And so it removes the vulnerability that a lot of people feel in desiring to test or experiment with something because it's on Instagram. Trial Reels, I guess, kind of did that for us a little bit, like takes away the barrier of embarrassment or vulnerability. But what's incredible about Pinterest is like you get the analytics. So we have done it to like split test ad graphics or different things like that. The point of this is that there's no risk of having a bad graphic. So you're not penalized or it's not going to negatively impact you. It'll just give you data. But the main things that we found are a really clear headline, just like you would do a hook on Instagram. How-to articles do so well on Pinterest. When you think of a search engine, a lot of times you're typing in like how do I start a podcast or how do I leverage Instagram stories? So how-to do really, really well. A lot of our graphics will have some sort of call to action. Again, very similar to Instagram, but just a little button that says click me. The button itself is not clickable, but the graphic is. And then we often will see that our greater results come from graphics that don't have my face on me because remember, it's unbranded searches. People aren't necessarily looking for me, they're looking for an answer. And so the majority of our pins are not highlighting Jenna Kutcher, they're highlighting the content. And it helps you to connect that content to the person and then they can get to know you in the content piece itself. And so again, for people that want to take a little step back or not necessarily be the face, it's amazing. But I just love it because it's like, Brock, let's say tomorrow you're like, I want my brand to be like orange and lime green. You could test that out and split test it using similar graphics with different branding and just see what performs better. And so kind of a good testing ground for people too.
Gotcha. I totally see how this makes so much sense. I see how I could do this in less than an hour a week. I see how I could have someone on our team do this. I also am imagining, I'm probably not technical enough to figure it out, but there are probably people listening who are technical enough to figure out how to do a lot of this automatically with AI, which is super cool. But I also know that there's even more strategy. There's those templates that you talked about. And I know you have an upcoming webinars. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Okay. So I just want to tell everyone, here's what I want you to know. Learn the system. It doesn't take a long time. Like, it is not this process where it's like 800 steps and you've got to figure out. It's very simple. And that's why I love it. So my upcoming masterclass is called Create Once, Traffic for Months. How to lengthen the lifespan of your content and make your work for you. And I love teaching this because at the heart of my mission is to allow people to have life first businesses. Brock, you are someone who I admire, who I know you have hobbies, and I want my work to be the least interesting part of my life. Like, I want to live just such a full life. And so as summer is coming and people's time is about to evaporate and they want to be spending their time in other places, let me show you the 1 hour a week strategy that can make your work for you and that can help you spend your precious time in a way that gives you true results. So if you sign up, you can go to teachmetopin.com. That's teachme2pin.com. Save your seat. I would love to just walk you through this process and help your work live on and create the results that you want it to create.
Amazing. Well, we will link that up in the show notes below. But thank you so much for being here. 2 final quick questions. One is last words of advice, any parting messages, anything you want to share with our audience before we part ways.
So I would say define what your version of success is. And for me, I used to focus on what success looked like, and now I focus on what success feels like. And for me, it's being able to step off of the content creation hamster wheel and have work that is working for me in the background. Like, nothing is sexier going to bed at night knowing that my work is driving results for me. And so how do you want your life to feel? And the second thing is that treat time as your currency. So look at where your time is going and make sure that every hour of your time has an ROI that feels worth it to you. And for me, I love Instagram. I show up on there every day, but my real ROI is coming from the traffic that Pinterest is driving, leveraging all the things I've been creating.
Amazing. And we will link up, like I said, the masterclass in the show notes. But where's the best place to get connected with you, just if we want to follow more all things Jenna and check out more of what you're up to?
Yes, well, I'll tell you Pinterest, which you can find me at Jenna Kutcher. And Instagram is Jenna Kutcher. And I would love for you to also listen to the Gold Digger podcast. I got to tell them our quick funny story, Brock, about what happened. So Brock is going to be on my podcast. It's such a killer episode. I have been in the podcast game for a long time, hundreds of episodes, over 100 million downloads. Brock comes on my podcast and I hit the wrong record button. People, you've ever been mortified? If you wonder if the greats still mess up, the answer is absolutely, positively. And I'm so grateful that I messed up with someone as amazing as Brock. So come and listen to his episode on my show because it's the second crack at it. And the second time was even better than the first. But I'd love to have you listen in at the Gold Digger podcast where you can hear amazing people just like Brock.
Really amazing podcast, and I'll link that up in the show notes as soon as that specific episode comes out. But that was a blast, and even today, you and I think it's important for people to hear not just about the forgetting to hit record or that technical issue, but also even today with this conversation. We've been talking about having this conversation around Pinterest for a while, and we literally planned this via text about 10 minutes before we got started. I was like, hey, do you want to do it now? I was about to go for a hike, but we changed our mind. She's like, yeah, let's do it now. And then I send her the link, and here we are. So anyways, Jenna, you are amazing, such a light, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Before you go, I do have one final question, and it is, would you like me to do more interviews here on Build Your Tribe? Of course, now that Shalene isn't the co-host anymore, and it's just me, that kind of opens us up for some more experts to come on, and I'm definitely open to interviewing more experts like Jenna or like Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram that we've already had on the show. So let me know down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Would you like to hear from more guest experts and interviews? Or if not, is there a topic that you would like me to address and talk about in a future episode of Build Your Tribe? Thank you so much for being here this week, and as always, happy networking.
Okay, you guys. Hey, everyone. This is me. Yeah, this is me. What happened before what happened yesterday? I'm still grateful for today. Today has been actually something that's been actually wonderful. That's been actually wonderful because something positive is going to happen to me soon. I just know it. I feel it in my soul, in my body, everywhere. Because I know something positive is going to happen soon. So yeah, something positive is going to happen to me soon, and I just know it. So what I'll be doing today now is to now. I was just doing some things in my shop, so I was just like putting some things together into my shop and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm just like creating a video on the products and stuff like that. So I'm just like there, just thinking about what I'm going to just going to do. I'm building different things. I'm building this one. I'm building the other one. I should just like, okay, now first of all, let's organize our day. We cannot, because this day cannot just waste. I'm just like watching this video. I don't even know how the video will look like. Just there, watching it. Let's see how it will look like. Hmm. It usually takes time. Usually takes time. Anyways, like I was saying before, let's just bring everything out that we are building so we can just know what exactly we need to do next. First of all, number one, digital product equals. Second, number two, shadow operating. And in shadow operator, we are learning a skill, which is copywriting. That's what's the one that starts it. And number three, we are building. And number three, we are building building a shop on quiet operating club. What else are we building again? A bigger product, of course, a shadow operating which are learning a skill, and building a quiet operating club. Okay. Now, to ensure that our time doesn't waste or doesn't go to waste or doesn't get wasted. So now we have this course, and we have to name it exactly what the course is all about so we can create it. Hmm. Course. Scarcity net. Hmm. Let me copy it. Pizza capelletti in bocca. getting sun. Today's video is just unstructured today. It's just unstructured.
How are your wounds? They're fine, so you can leave them alone. Well, his rotten attitude is still in tip-top shape. Saki, what's going on? The abnormality in his towel has confused his memories. Tell me, Gabimaru, do you know why you're on this island? I can tell that you're having memory issues. No need to worry. I am not your enemy. I am... So tell me, Saki, what are you to Gabimaru? I am an important ally of yours. So please, you're all right. All right, that's enough. She's so strong. Earlier, I told you I was your ally, but that doesn't feel quite right. You and I share a much deeper relationship than that. If you refuse, then try pushing me off. Wait, what? Is that all the power you have? How are your wounds? They're fine, so you can leave. Well, his rotten attitude is still in tip-top shape. Saki, what's going on? The abnormality in his towel has confused his memories. Tell me, Gabimaru.
This is so interesting. I'm gonna watch it now. I'm gonna watch. Oh, what am I thinking? This is actually interesting. Yeah, but I have to make good use of today. So, the night I watch this. What is it this time?
How are your wounds? They're fine, so you can leave them alone. Well, his rotten attitude is still in tip-top shape. Saki, what's going on? The abnormality in his tau has confused his memories. Tell me, Gabimaru, do you know why you're on this island? I can tell that you're having memory issues. No need to worry. I am not your enemy. I am. So tell me, Saki, just what are you to Gabimaru? I am an important ally of yours. So please, you're all right. All right, that's enough! She's so strong. Earlier, I told you I was your ally, but that doesn't feel quite right. You and I share a much deeper relationship than that. If you refuse, then try pushing me off. Wait, what? Is that all the power you have? How are your wounds? They're fine, so you can leave them alone. Well, his rotten attitude is still in tip. I just got this new hoodie and I'm obsessed. The build without a pause graphic is so sick. Plus, it's seriously the softest thing I own. The fit is perfect for that relaxed streetwear vibe. Definitely my new favorite. Yo, I just got this new hoodie and I'm obsessed. The build without a pause graphic is so sick. Plus, it's seriously the softest thing I own. The fit is perfect for that relaxed streetwear vibe. Definitely my new favorite. Oh, I just got this new hoodie and I'm obsessed. The build without a pause graphic is so sick. Plus, it's seriously the softest thing I own. The fit is perfect for that relaxed streetwear vibe. Definitely my new favorite.
Yeah, nice. I'm doing something. Yeah, put that. Return that pencil now. paragraph heading. Pocket CB. I am the best. I am a professional. And something positive is going to happen to me soon. I just know it. I'm the best and a professional. Uniquely unique. I am beautiful. I am gorgeous. Why are you so gorgeous? Why are you so gorgeous, girl? Headline. To get your attention and draw you to the subheadline. Hmm. forgot to lock the door. Okay, that's come to the end of this video. I wish you guys the best. I hope you guys enjoyed the study session with me. To be honest, right from when I even started the video, I didn't even talk about it. I didn't talk about you bringing your highlighters, you bringing your computer, you bringing your pen, your eraser. I didn't even talk about that because I was just thinking about that thing. So sorry for that. But still, it's my video. Yeah. Anyways, I'm grateful for today. Today has been actually interesting as today goes by. I'm truly grateful for today. Today has been actually unique and it has been something. You know, I said that it was the end of this video, right? Yeah, it's actually the end of the video. And right now, I'm just like thinking of how I'm going to draw this out. Doing a drawing, create a concept of an out of cover piece inspired by the people experiences. Okay, that's come to the let's say video is about to go off anytime soon. It was nice being with you guys, and I wish you all the best. Bye bye.